turn this trailer into a tiny house. Before it goes up, must come down.
Pull your cart, little boy.
This is a lot of work, but we'll get there.
There's still more water coming out of that thing.
Anyone else gonna go to the bathroom?
You can't afford a nice door.
Oh, yeah?
Cheap ass.
Oh, that's it? Really? That's why we're gonna go with that? By the way, where you're gone, I made this. That's my face. Like I put my face on it and I drew a. This is my eyes.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's my nose. This is my nose and that's my chin.
I want to know why you're doing that. Can you explain?
I'm very tired.
Oh, well, I've survived so far. 2 months and a week of almost 24/7 with this guy.
Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't even think about it! Don't even dream
The walls or the project?
Oh, but the project. The moment you think about doing a tiny home,
Go buy one.
check yourself into a mental institution.
Well, hello everyone. It's been a very long time. Welcome to the TinyWanderland Chronicles. This is episode 20. I'm your host, Jay. Just so there's no confusion, that was a tough act to follow. I don't even know. I watch that intro and I get all hyped up, and then I hear the boring stuff that Tina always says I talk about. But bottom line is, guys, building the TinyWanderer was an amazing adventure. It was a life-changing thing. It was just something that I can't even begin to. I guess the best way is just to tell the story. So let's get into today's episode, shall we? Well, this is not a surprise. There's Heather's leg, and that's me at the hotel, and we were off and running, everybody. We were probably looking for something for the build. And there you get a good look at the very first sketch of what we wanted Robert to do. And you know, the funny thing is, when I look at the TinyWanderer now, that's exactly how it looks. So that's the craziest part about it. Into the plumbing, that was our first thing we had to do. Once Robert gave us the TinyWanderer back, and the tanks were in, and she'd been reinforced, plumbing was the first step. You can see here, this is I think that's me underneath working on a pipe or something. This is all, remember, RJ from Peterson. He I wasn't supposed to say that, but you know what, I did, so no harm, no foul. RJ's an amazing man. And you're basically seeing the connections come to life. I find these two slides very interesting because they are prices of plywood, different types of plywood, and also prices of insulation, which in this year of 2021, those prices don't even come close to what they were then. But here's the interesting thing. Just recently, in real time, I know this is very confusing for you guys, but remember, the story is being told about the past in the future. In real time, right now, as I do this episode, the price of a sheet of plywood is $15. So it's actually cheaper now than it was during COVID, during the pandemic when we built the TinyWanderer. I play the stock market, and if you watch the TinyWanderland, if you watch our regular main channel, you know that sometimes I do very well. And I put a option on the lumber futures when they were sky high. They were like 1,000%, and I put a $4,000 option on it. And then When the price fell, which I knew it would, I cleaned up $20,000 profit. But anyway, that's another story. There's me back in the TinyWanderer again, and I remember this. This is something that was kind of ingrained in my head. We had to drill holes through the beams that Robert welded to run the plumbing, because we wanted to run it inside the wall, not outside the wall. A lot of people, when they do their build, they run their pipes and their electrical outside the walls. I think that's really great, but we didn't choose to build the TinyWanderer that way. This Heather probably taking more pictures. Heather trying her hand at seeing how tough it is to build plumbing. This is actually the very first picture of the pump. It don't look anything like that now, but that's our water pump. There's Heather goofing off. The cool thing about having Heather around was she often brought a lot of brevity to a very serious situation, which was building the tiny home. And had she not been around, I probably would have burned the thing down. I don't know. Here's me working on the plumbing. I guess I decided to take my shirt off. We were dealing with 95-degree days. There's Heather trying her hand at driving a drill through steel. And I always say Robert, steel don't play, and I'm not kidding about that. There's Gus watching Heather do her work. This is me putting in more plumbing, it looks like. Yeah, just kind of fighting with the plumbing. There's a kind of a picture of the finished project of the plumbing. A lot of that is still inside the walls to this day, guys, so it's really cool to see that. Kind of reminisced as the toilet. As you can see, the floor's not on. Oh, me goofing off. About a window. I think we put the windows in the last episode, so I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think we did. If we didn't, then I apologize. Some of these are going to be out of order, but I could have sworn we did put them in at the last episode, but if we didn't, you'll be seeing that soon. Picture of the TinyWanderer. You can see the framing there with all the racks and the mounts. Don't know, probably just an expression of just what am I doing here. This is kind of funny. I'm not really using the bathroom, guys. Obviously, I was just joking around, and Heather happened to catch the snapshot. One of the things about working in Cedar City during the summertime is it's prone to wildfires. We caught this sunset with the forest fire just down the street from us burning in the distance. It was beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. Me back in the hotel planning some more adventures for the TinyWanderer. More parts of the plumbing going in, more parts of the plumbing, more parts of the plumbing. It's crazy to look at this and actually see this now, guys. I have a hard time processing what I'm looking at, knowing what I live in now. It's just crazy. We had to build custom piping, of course, into our pipe and into our tank, and there is the tank. You can see the pipe going in there. And then we had to plastic weld and seal the entire thing all over again. And plastic welding can be extremely, extremely dangerous, especially with polypropylene, which is not something you want to breathe. I breathed that for hours and hours. There's me sealing it off again. It's doing another seal. We were putting in, it looks like the stabilizer jacks, which actually turned out to be garbage, by the way. They look really nice in these pictures, but you're probably thinking, Jay, if it's 95 degrees, why are you in pants and a hoodie? Well, let me tell you something. When you're drilling through steel at a high speed, those shavings really, really, really burn, okay? So take it from me. Don't make sure you're wearing proper protection when you're drilling through steel. We burned through several bits just trying to get that in there. Finally, Robert loaned us a bit called a Viper bit, an extraordinary cutting tool. Unfortunately, I lost it. Here's me working on the tanks, I think. Yep, that's me putting in the sensors on the tanks. We ran all new sensors. Here's the funny thing about it. If you take a look at the picture, I guess that's Heather goofing off. More pictures of, I can't really see. Oh, that's the framework for the plumbing. I'll go back to the sensor thing in a minute. This was we were measuring out our stove and our sink, which remember we didn't use either. So lots of time in the junkyard for nothing. But the Shanti story originated from the junkyard, so it wasn't a waste. But here's us measuring it some more. Oh, there's the sensors, guys. Now, I bought a sensor kit. It is mounted on the wall of the TinyWanderer. It does not work. Either a wire broke, or it just shorted out, or it just never worked to begin with. But so there were a lot of things that I did when we were building the TinyWanderer that I wish I hadn't, and in retrospect I wouldn't do again. One is to buy a cheap sensor kit that didn't work. More plumbing. This was our very first, probably preliminary investigation in the cabinets. We didn't actually buy this day. We were more like plotting them out, trying to figure out sizes, what would go where. There's actually me with the Bible trying to figure out what's going to work where. And, you know, that's just basically what we did. We would work on one project, and then we would kind of shaft to another one, and then we would kind of go from there. Oh, that's the sink. And the funny thing is, that actually is our sink. If you were in the TinyWanderer right now, you'd see that sink, except we did make a modification, which you will see later on in the episodes to come. Heather originally wanted to line the walls with this panel. Now, the funny thing is, I've actually seen in other people's builds, I've seen the same panel. So it's not original, to say the least, but Heather just didn't want the carpet. She was just adamant there would be no carpet. She said no carpet. I told Heather she paid for that paneling, there would be no carpet. Needless to say, there's carpet. So more boxes arriving at the Abbey Inn. Every so often we did have to break away for an adventure. This is Little Koo. She's now known as the Endurer. If you want to follow her story, you need to check out the main channel. I don't think her story will be in the Chronicles. Maybe towards the very end of the Chronicles, we'll talk a little bit about it there. But we were going on an adventure, and it was great. So, guys, that's going to wrap it up for episode 20. I'm trying to make these episodes go pretty quickly, so they're not too long for you guys. 10 minutes seems to be a good number. And just if you want excitement, you know, if you want to see what's going on with the TinyWanderer now, the adventures, the travel, all the crazy stuff going on, and the new format that we shoot in, you can check out TinyWanderland. It's a totally different intro, totally different format, totally different everything. These are the Chronicles. This is the story about the past. I know that you guys have been really patient and bearing with me. It's been forever since we did a Chronicles episode, and now that we have the new intro, it kind of works. We'll probably also have an outro on this. I don't know how it's going to work with this program, but feel free to follow us on Twitter. No one ever goes there anyway. Instagram's got a lot of cool stuff on it. Facebook, join us on Facebook. We'd love to have you there. And, of course, YouTube. And when we get to 100 followers, guys, we will get a link to the, I guess it's just going to be youtube.com/TinyWanderland. But, you know, we got to go through Google's regimen, and we got to get the 100 followers. I think we're up to 25 right now. So, but yeah, so special shout out to everybody who's still hanging on to the Chronicles and wants to learn about what happened. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of TinyWanderland Chronicles. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.